Frontline report, February 1941, 9th Army, General Shatilov. The lightly fortified Lithuanian positions have become impossible to hold in the face of an estimated total of 15 German panzer divisions. Material shortages persist, and unlike in previous engagements, the enemy assaults are conducted with a majority of modern Sturmpanzerkampfwagen 4 tanks, fielding frontal armor that our current weapons cannot penetrate at any range. Losses are estimated to amount to around 30,000 men, but we will hold until defensive works in the new Kaunas-Dvinsk line are completed. Frontline report, February 1941, 12th Army, General Kappel. We have been engaged in direct fire support of the 9th Army's Guards divisions on the defense of Lithuania. Field experience has shown our 37mm anti-tank guns to be only moderately effective against the latest variants of German panzers. As ordered, we are disengaging from the open fields and are preparing positions in the forests near Kaunas. German aerial bombardment is infrequent and light as for now. Frontline report, February 1941, 6th Army, General Stefan. Coordinated assaults against the Riga fortifications in cooperation with 9th Army divisions have been abandoned. Despite heavy bombardment by artillery and railway gun, only 1/3 of enemy fortifications have been reduced. Urban combat has been costly in terms of equipment loss, and recovery efforts have been hampered by frozen temperatures. Equipment status is becoming critical after weeks of intense combat, requesting reserve status to replenish forces. Situation report, February 1941. Baltic Air Zone, General Polkovnik Kazakov. Increasing number of German fighters have begun challenging us over the front lines. Generally, our later I-185 models are better armed and faster, but increasing numbers of Focke-Wulf 190s have entered the skies, and they are more agile in dogfights, and losses have begun mounting on our side. If enemy numbers further increase, we will have to abandon aerial superiority. It turns out that the Germans, under Erich von Manstein, who seems to have taken command of the overall armored forces, have brought, if I counted correctly, a total of 15 tank divisions into Lithuania to push us back along the front lines. And that means we do need to fall back to more defensible positions, especially that we haven't managed to retake Riga, despite best efforts, simply due to the fact that the urban combat area in winter is very difficult to crack, even if we're not actually being faced by German divisions, but these the Baltic troops are experienced, they know the terrain well, and they have managed to hold the city. So we've abandoned the assaults there. We're pulling the tanks back into replenishment status because the tank divisions are becoming increasingly under strength. So they need urgent replenishment. And the 9th Army of elite Guards divisions is trying to hold back the German panzers until we have built up the front fortification lines between Kaunas and Dvinsk. So let's have a quick look how far that efforts are. So we're at fortification level 2. I think we can begin retreating elements of these troops here, and give them as well a front line. Now this is going to be. Can we actually assign that, or no? This is not going to work. So yeah, that's not going to work easily because there will be two overlapping armies. So I'm going to have to unassign these and manually distribute them along the front lines. Okay, so we'll begin pulling some divisions off the front lines here to start entrenching in the forests. That should be a significantly better terrain to defend against the German assaults. Because in the open plains, even with light fortifications, we're not going to be able to hold back this significant number of panzers, especially that we are actually not able to pierce the enemy armor. They have around somewhere between 40 and 60 armor, which is quite significant. So these medium tanks are pretty well armored, and irritatingly, even the dedicated anti-tank divisions, which have a piercing of 36, are not able to necessarily get through that armor completely. So the German tanks are relatively difficult to stop, especially if the German Air Force can be brought in larger numbers. So that is the situation as it stands. We'll hold the positions, and I actually have to check if we're fortifying around. Yes, we're fortifying around Riga. That is actually needs to take priority, just to yeah, we've got that prioritized, just to make sure they're not breaking out from anywhere there. And then Riga will become a siege, a longer-term siege, while we're doing a tactical retreat to more defensible lines in all directions. So that heavy armored spearhead that's crashing into us here is causing some significant difficulties. That means, however, that the rest of the line seems to be holding up relatively well against minor assaults by German or Austrian divisions that are not particularly successful. However, the lack of firepower on the regular army divisions is becoming concerning, because it's just not much. Let me put it that way. And we are. If they're fully entrenched, that is going to be superior. But one problem we're also having is that the First European Front, which is most of this, is under the command of Field Marshal Denikin, who is having the offensive doctrine. We have only one Field Marshal with the defensive doctrine, and that would be Field Marshal Wrangel, but he does not have the experience with the infantry. So we're actually short on defensive field marshals here, which is slightly irritating, but not an awful lot we can do about this on a short term, short of promoting somebody. Then again, Denikin is relatively experienced, so I don't necessarily. He is an infantry expert. And especially the supply consumption across the whole army group is a relatively big factor as well, because it allows us to get away without too much upgrades. That said, we've got a lot of construction of railways scheduled, which are going to become necessary to hold these positions. The biggest problem, and this is what I've sort of foreseen when we went into this winter period, and I was just hoping that the French would hold out a little longer, that the Germans didn't quite have as many panzer divisions to them, is equipment, because we are now starting to run very short on everything. And a lot of this is from deployment. So this is not all reinforcement. Anti-air is becoming a little critical. Anti-tank, obviously, a few. But infantry equipment is mostly from new deployments at this point. Trucks we have a good amount of, but the support equipment as well is becoming relatively critical. And obviously light, heavy tanks or light tanks primarily, because that's afflicting the 6th Army significantly, because they're very, very short on equipment at this point. So we are going to be in need of doing something about this. That said, let's quickly go through the European fronts and see if we have any upgrades available. We've got General Casagrande of the 2nd Army, which is the southern sector, but still we can give him the infantry expert. I think that's, he's got 2 traits actually available, but I prefer that over I prefer that over the ambusher. So 5 entrenchment is nothing to sneeze at, especially in this current situation. But he's got mostly guards divisions onto him, so I'd prefer the 10% infantry attack actually. All right, let's take that with us, and then we have General Drozdowski of the 8th, which is holding the central sector. Central sector. English, Terry, do you speak it? What do we have available? We've got something out of commando. Yeah, not really needing paratroopers. Well, let's see if there's anything better becoming available for him. I think the rest of them not really, but we can begin selecting preferred tactics. And I do like the suppressive barrage, which has been sort of a good one, but we'll hold off onto that until I have a clearer picture until I have to clear a picture who's on the defense and who's on the offense. So it's good for both, really. So let's see, Casagrande. Do I need to pay for this? I don't think so. So we are I don't think suppressive barrage can be countered. So we'll make this the preferred choice of Casagrande. Who else? More interestingly, General Shatilov. Does he have a preferred? He's not yet at skill 5. Okay. Who else do we have? We've got Pepelayev. He's at 5. So this is not something I usually play around with, but it'd be interesting to see how this goes. And General Kanzin is at 5 as well. So we will see how well the suppressive barrage works. So we're trying to preserve manpower as much as possible. And we do have significant reserves, I believe, over what the Germans have. Let's see how much we know about. I think this is over here. They have about 1 million available manpower still, on top of whatever they've deployed to the field. So yeah, that's something. We also don't have the intelligence apparatus to work on the German war support. So we'll retreat in the north and see that we can stabilize the front lines and begin finding ways to get our equipment in order, because that's I think the one area where we are significantly behind the German Empire when it comes to military industry. But at least we have a very noticeable amount of how many lines? 2, 4, 6, 8, 8. A good 8 lines of construction in parallel going on. So sorry for the noise outside. That's the garbage trucks coming in. So that means we should hopefully, once we get to war economy, we should hopefully be in the position to start building up the military industry more significantly. All right, what else do we got? We have made some progress in Egypt, and I believe we're just waiting for a few of the divisions to arrive, but we can already, and we'll do it together. So the next supply hub is connected. So the next supply position. This used to be a massive pain to fight your way through this. I've been playing Ethiopia a lot in the before what was it, by Blood Alone, when they patched Ethiopia. It used to be the opponent in the tutorial. So I love playing Ethiopia as the kind of opponent, the tutorial opponent, and doing things back. But this used to be like a terrifyingly hard fight. But it teaches you a lot about small group tactics, more or less. Anyway, we'll be moving south further towards taking Khartoum. Let's see how far the Egyptians actually are. Where are they? What am I missing? Oh, there. Yeah, I'm looking at the wrong side. Kingdom of Egypt should actually, I think they'll actually capitulate very, very soon. So that means we probably don't have to wait all the way to Khartoum. We just have to probably take one more supply position, and then that should be it. Because we've made our way up the Nile, or down the Nile rather. No, sorry, upriver. Yeah, that way is upriver. So we've made our way upriver quite significantly, and we've got Afghanistan on our side, and soon, hopefully, India as well. So there will be some reinforcements there. Norway is looking troubled, and especially that they're battled with Finland as well. Although Finland isn't doing too great, and that means we are potentially going to have to deal with, if Norway capitulates, to deal with troops in the north here as well. All right, so for now, we'll keep our eye on the prize, which is the retreat of divisions along the lines into defensible positions here to ensure that we can hold, and we're bringing the railway guns further back as well to support, to lend fire support across the axis here. I prefer them not to be directly. Yeah, we can probably move it a little bit. Prefer them not to be directly engaged. Okay, we'll fall back into Kaunas. There's no need of needlessly holding positions here, and we get more and more troops onto the front lines here while we're doing delayed actions along the lines. Still successes in the ocean, getting the occasional convoy, but it's reducing, and I think the Entente is on the offensive here in Spain now, as well as Germany. So Spain now has two fronts, and I think Spain isn't going to hold for much longer in either. There's still small French holdouts between Toulon, Nice, and around Bordeaux, but the Netherlands have taken over most of the northern part of France. And that means that the Italians are now facing a two-front war. And they're holding positions here at the river relatively successfully. But the Ukrainians have pretty much taken over here, which also means that these positions need to be held. But that's not a problem. The more interesting one is in the north. And the question of how quickly can we get back to producing more military factories, because we are in dire need of equipment. Equipment shortages are trouble, and we're starting to see. Well, as long as we're just seeing fighters over Belarus, I don't mind too much. But we're starting to see increased number of bombers over Belarus as well, and the losses are starting to shift into the enemy's favor. We're starting to take on noticeable losses here on our side. So I think very soon, with the increasing number of German aircraft, we are going to need to do something about that. I think I'm gonna get, there's no real need to reinforce these positions. I think we will, I think we can begin falling back from the front lines and just put defensive positions in the open fields here. We still have a bit of construction to do. So these should be, I think these should be the prioritized ones, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, these are the Riga ones. No, definitely not Odessa. Might have to reorganize this, because I think they actually, they actually went down. No, Kaunas needs to be, the Kaunas area needs to be on the priority. These need to be, I don't know why they fell off the priority list here. But they need to be prioritized together with the northern defense in Rigas, and I think Odessa can wait. So, all right, that means these are going to be done on the 24th. So in 5 days, the next fortification level is done, and then I think we're in a relatively good state. We may actually need to, once we're done with the equipment conversion, we might need to look at improved fortifications as well at some point. We've got advanced radio to do here. There's a lot of. I was planning to do a few naval researches, but it looks like the land war sort of precludes that at this point. So we will see how that goes. I might need a few more divisions north around Riga as well, if they are. So I would love to have, are we on rigid? Yes, I would love to have one more division here, and I'd like to have 4 divisions on each position here. So let's get one more here, and these can stay. Yeah, we don't need to necessarily reinforce the forward positions. We can begin falling back here towards, we've got a good amount here, so we can begin falling back. We'll reorganize the front lines somewhat better when we actually have the front lines, and when we're falling back over across the river, which should be a more defensible position. And then for our future offense, we'll see if the German. My biggest concern is that the massive German panzer armies are not just going to bash their heads against their defensive lines, but are moving to other sectors. So, for example, these sectors here, which are relatively strongly defended, but they're still somewhat short on. These are just regular infantry divisions. That might become a larger problem if these sectors are coming under attack as well. So yeah, we're digging in over the winter and probably also into spring, because counterattacks against the Reichspakt here are starting to look relatively difficult. All right, how does this Egypt situation? Do we have all divisions in place? Yeah, I think we have enough divisions in place. So can we? Yeah, let's push south here and push south here. Next supply position is this one, so we can probably sweep through that, and then once we're done there, we can make our way out into the out towards Port Sudan, and that should technically. Be enough to get Egypt to capitulate. And then we can pull these troops back, because, well, we are technically then at war with we are going to have a position of war with Middle Africa. But that might actually be, yeah, but we're not going to get it under our direct control. This is all a Persian problem. So hopefully the Afghanis and later the Indians can join the African campaign. And we're seeing significant assaults from German divisions across the lines here. Despite the river crossing, they are making, yeah, they've planned that relatively well, and they are able to pierce. These divisions actually have flame tanks, which should help with significant firepower, but. I think, yeah, we are definitely going to need a few more divisions to hold the lines here, because we're still a little bit under positioned. I think I want one more here, and we can pull one more division into Odessa, and then we've got the lines relatively evenly distributed here. There's one here, yeah, that looks pretty good, and one more division there. All right. That's why we do need to put these onto rigid cohesion. Okay, actually that's the wrong army. No, never mind. We do need to put everyone on rigid cohesion, because otherwise they start moving around. And I do need, at this point, now that we're defensive, when we're in the offense, I don't mind that. But as long as we're in the defense, it's important that divisions are staying where they're assigned rather than moving around wildly. And in that regard, I prefer rigid cohesion and make sure that they're staying where they're supposed to stay. Okay, we do need defenders here actually as well. So we'll fall back to these lines once the front lines have been pushed. What do we have? We keep shooting down German aces, and we are having trouble. We're running short on equipment for garrisons, which is the other problem. So it's not just that we're needing the equipment for the troops in the field. We are actually needing the equipment for the garrisons, which makes it so important that we have the martial law, which means we can reduce the troops that are currently employed. Mostly it's infantry equipment, but we've got about 14,000 infantry equipment deployed for garrison needs. The support equipment amount is low because, just in case you're not aware of this, just a quick aside, because the MP, so the division size doesn't actually matter for garrisons, because garrison divisions are fractional. But that means if you have a very small division, then with MPs, then the effect is much lowered, because you're going to need a lot more of these divisions, which means you need a lot more support equipment for the military police. Whereas if you have a large as possible division, then the MP equipment factors into all of that. And since they're fractional, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter as much what the size of it is, just in the amount of support equipment that you need. And that's why we're only needing a very small amount of support equipment, which we are absolutely short on. Can we? I think I've checked if we can purchase anything on the open market, but I'd also prefer not to I don't think there was much. I also prefer not to, yeah, it's 150 or something, and they wouldn't trade with us anyway. We can see if we can ask friendly countries for support in terms of equipment. Let me have a look around and see if anybody has any equipment that they currently don't need and can hand over to us for the frontline efforts. Okay, Georgia will send Persia, Azerbaijan, Ha'il, and Afghanistan. The Americans refuse to send. They are they're themselves too short on equipment, building up their forces, and they're also the new administration, the new United States of America, is not having the same kind of gratitude that we assumed they would for us assisting with the victory in the civil war for the Pacific states. So since they have joined the Entente, political climate has sort of changed into a more neutral stance, and they refuse to assist Russia with our needs here. So we'll see how much we're actually getting, and that should be in the diplomacy tree somewhere. Where is the? Okay, we're getting. We are getting. Does it tell me how many they're sending? Yeah, we're getting 25 anti-tank guns and 900 rifles from Georgia. We're getting 600 ancient rifles from Afghanistan. We're getting 800 old Mosin Nagant rifles from Azerbaijan. We are getting 18 pieces of support equipment from Ha'il, and we're getting a few anti-tank and AA guns and 13 Mauser 98 rifles from Persia. So it's not much, but it can be used on the front line. It's better than not having the equipment, but yeah, it's not an awful lot that we can actually get from that. So no equipment is really available for other things, and we are starting to build up the lines here quite noticeably. I do want to make sure these troops don't necessarily return to the front lines. I do need them elsewhere. So yeah, you move there as well. And we're mostly, I think I'm going to just get a sort of secondary line going here, where I'm going to get these divisions assigned and begin falling back from the front line here as well. So we'll abandon the forward positions that are untenable anyway, without taking too many losses, and we'll hold here. No, we don't want to retake. We don't want to retake this position necessarily. We could, but we don't want to start fighting the German tanks, because now Kaunas the battle is starting to become joined in Kaunas, which means we are seeing the anti-tank divisions in action, and yeah, they're finding out the same way that we have found in Riga that urban combat. Guderian looking very suspicious here, finding out the hard way that urban combat is not ideal for armored divisions. And here we'll fall back from these positions as well towards Grodno to hold the lines there, and then we can it gives us the opportunity to start digging in really, and here these 10 divisions as well. Then we can start redeploying these relatively soon. I think I'm going to change the fallback line here to include that, and get these on there as well. Okay, and with that we are holding the forward defensive positions, and we'll send that one to the rear as well. We're holding the forward defensive positions. The tanks are moving out, and we're sending reinforcements over to holding Riga. And that means we're 21st of February. We need until 24th for level 3 forts. So we've still got a little bit of holding to do. But let's see how long we can, how long the 9th Army can hold back the German armored assaults here before we are before the fortifications are complete, and we can fall back. We can fall back to defensible lines and hold the situation there. Okay, this is a little understaffed. This is all. These are 8th Army divisions. Okay, yeah, the 8th Army is getting a little stretched here, but we'll reinforce that with 9th Army troops as things go, because 8th is getting a little stretched here, especially that they have a relatively long front line to hold. We can probably. No, actually, Kaunas is maybe slightly south of Kaunas. Maybe we can pull the 8th back from Kaunas once we have the 9th in place. All right, that works out. Attacks on Odessa being repelled. So the German infantry, when they have to start fighting in urban territory, crossing river lines here, are becoming less effective, and we can get that single division to rejoin which one was it? This one, to rejoin that, and then they simply stay there on area defense now that we've cleared that out. We've got Georgian divisions, Azerbaijani and Afghani militia now starting to trickle in as well towards the front lines, and with that I think we can stop the German advances over winter. And we can stem the tide a little bit. I do want to get the railway guns off the front lines, however. So we're bringing that back to Vilnius. And Albania has capitulated, and advanced rubber processing is complete. So with Albania capitulated, the Greeks are pushing into Serbia now as the lines are collapsing there, and we are facing massive attacks across the whole section of the front. But I think the most critical ones are the regular infantry divisions. But I think they can, they're pretty well entrenched now, and with the fortification line, lines being improved across the front. This line is going to become very hard to penetrate for the Germans. However, with the current equipment situation, we have no way of going onto the offensive, and the air war is about to become critical here. So losses are absolutely mounting, and our fighter wings are becoming severely under strength. So as we're falling back, what I'm going to do instead is we're going to hunt the enemy where we can, and we're going to focus on the Belarusian side for now, and we'll be leaving the Baltic states as is, because what we can do is we can get these 5 fighter wings, because they're starting to lose significantly. We can get these 5 fighter wings to stay, but to switch to interception missions. So we'll just try to intercept the bombers, but we're not challenging the German Air Force for aerial superiority, simply because there is too many of them at this point. But what we can do, and what are we facing here? Yeah, we've got 300 fighters from the German Empire active over Belarus. What we can do is we can hunt these and see if we can reduce their numbers. How are the new fighter wings coming along? I think that's good enough, honestly. So we are going to send them over to Belarus and begin air superiority operations there as well. They are obviously woefully under-equipped, but right now we're throwing everything we can into the air, trying to stem the tide. But we're starting to run. Our fighter wings are starting to run relatively low. And again, this is due to lack of military production, which is what we're working on, but it's going to take time. So for now, we're firmly on the defense, and the interesting lines are the ones in the north here. So Kaunas needs to hold. Drostovsky has been wounded. That is unfortunate. Kaunas needs to hold, and we've got forward positions here, which are under which are under relatively heavy attack. What's the fortification level in Kaunas itself? Yeah, we're still working on that, but obviously defensive works cannot happen when when there's active combat going on. So that's part of the problem. Afghanistan wants to send 2 divisions of expeditionary forces. Sure, we'll take them. We can begin taking expeditionary forces, and we'll send them to strategic points just to help with defense. So, for example, these 2 I am going to put into their own army, and we can. Who do we have available? Wojciechowski. He's going to begin taking care of these divisions, and they can assist with the defense of Odessa, just in case significant enemy forces are being brought to bear, because the Austrians are already sending tanks in, despite the fact that the Austrians have been having some severe losses. Belgrade's still holding, but by the looks of it, not for much longer. What do we know about the Austrian armed forces here? We don't know much what they've got. We do know that they have armored divisions, but we don't know how many. All right, research. What do we do? Production efficiency cap, I think, is something I am going to start needing, because we've got a few things that are approaching production, that are approaching cap. So that would be one. We're going to need the advanced radio for better coordination as well. This is still ahead of time. We have absolutely no industry to build half tracks at this point, and we're starting to run really behind on support companies here. But again, not the primary urgency. Armor, we are working on the super heavies. Advanced flamethrower, that would be good. Enhanced flamethrower system, that would upgrade the flame tanks. I think that's worth doing, honestly, because we have deployed the heavy flame tank divisions to, as the heavy flame tank support companies to the guards divisions, which means that these actually do not. Hang on, let me just double check something, because that's why they were so inefficient. I thought the light tank divisions had flame tanks on them. They don't. They actually have the maintenance companies. Well, that explains. Okay, so these divisions need reform, because they don't actually have flame tank divisions. What we do need is the guards divisions, because these are going to get 10% attack in urban from the heavy flamers. So that would be, I think that's a research that's definitely worth it. Artillery, we are sort of running behind a bit. 10% piercing on the ITs would be good. So I think that's probably the first one we're actually going to have to do. And this is additional air attack. I think the M6 development, it's chiefly used against large masses at close distances where it still packs significant punch. Yeah, that gives us the improved medium cannon, which we don't need, but it does slightly improve the piercing. So this looks like some form of shaped charge. So we'll research that, and hopefully that helps the AT divisions to work better against German tanks. One more thing, another ace pilot promoted, good. And we do have to keep a very close eye on the air situation, because that can change on a whim. So right now, they're starting to bring significant forces to bear in the theater, but I'm hoping that unfortunately that means now that the railway guns are coming under direct bombardment by the German armed forces, which means that I'm going to have to start pulling these things back sooner or later, because they will get destroyed, if I'm not mistaken. So we might not be able to utilize these on the front lines that are under significant air attack. unless we can get the interception to work better. So, right, and we're starting to see bombers over Belarus as well. Ukrainian air zone so far. We actually have nothing on the Ukrainian air zone, which is good. But we're hunting down enemy aircraft over Belarus, which is what's our mission efficiency? Getting there. The bigger problem is the Baltic situation, where we are facing significant enemy aircraft, and it's going to be difficult to hold that. But for now, we'll hold the position. We get the tanks to retreat from there, and to begin stabilizing the lines. We are on the 24th, which means that we only have to hold that until March 7th. Which means I think we have sufficient. I think we actually have sufficient troops here now that we can begin falling back. We are facing small. We are facing small assaults here, and but nothing major. This one is more significant, but it looks like the weather isn't helping. So. Current situation is it is extremely cold and we have deep snow, which means the tanks are not as mobile as they should be, which gives us a bit of an edge at for the time being. So we'll hold the lines here a little bit longer then, but eventually we'll fall back, and then we can get the front lines into a better state as well. So the Afghanis doing brave assaults against German lines, but I think that is quite futile. And all the other front lines are holding reasonably well against smaller assaults from enemy troops, where we are reasonably well dug in, but what we're lacking is firepower. So that is relatively poor. Anyway, back to here. That's a Persian division trying to sort that out. Probably not going to be much of a problem. We're making progress in Egypt. They have their orders, so that's ongoing. And yes, now that the whole panzer forces are coming in, I think it's going to become not necessarily a situation that we can hold. So I will already remove the defensive line order, because that means we can start giving the divisions orders to begin falling back. And abandon the forward lines here, while we are. I think we are having a reasonable amount of anti-tank divisions. Plus, we've got the light panzers, the light tanks. But these things are in desperate need of replenishment, so they're not going to be much use to anybody. But it's going to be the air as well, which is going to start causing trouble. Improved equipment conversion is complete. This should significantly, I should have taken a look before, but this should significantly speed up the conversion of the destroyer hulls. However, not entirely production output modifier. This is just the production output modifier. But I think this also, or it used to apply to this. I might be wrong. Do correct me if I'm wrong. But can we improve output of anything? Yes, by converting old equipment, we can. So let's do that. And we've got another research slot. So how about air? How are we looking in the air? This is the full metal airframe is ahead of its time. However, we do have a research bonus here, but that's still going to take over a year to get. And I think we've got more urgent things to look at. I would love to get a few more naval research. Actually, I was planning to focus a bit on the naval research as we were going, but things have turned unfortunately out. Now we're doing the assembly line production, simply because that is. Land material once again, and I know already who's going to complain about that in the comments. Once again, that is some juicy some juicy convoys that we're getting, that we're sinking here. These are probably trade convoys. They're probably trading with the Americans. Yeah, unfortunately, the Navy once again has to take a break because we have to focus on the situation on the ground and in the air. All right, this position here is not. We're not going to be able to hold that. So I am going to start retreating 2 divisions towards Kaunas and 4 divisions here, just to make sure that we're not unnecessarily losing. Losing our forces here, because we do want to reduce the amount of manpower losses and the amount of so organized retreat is the better option, and the same goes here. I do need to get these to stop moving around, but that would mean more fallback lines. I think we'll be starting to move 2 divisions. Can I get 2 divisions? It is 2 divisions, yeah. I do want these to fall back and then begin moving north. Yeah, I think we'll just falling back from this position here as well, and we are going to start retreating divisions north here and preventing these from any further action. Okay, so these positions are starting to fill out quite well. The Kaunas defense is holding. Yeah, it's holding without problems, and the rest of the lines are holding quite successfully as well. We definitely need. Why do we only have 2 divisions down here? Where did the rest of them go? That is too many. So I want 1 division here and 1 more division here. Okay, that's better. So let's stabilize the front lines. Just checking that nothing's under-equipped here. Brest-Litovsk coming under significant firepower here coming out of Brest-Litovsk. Where's our actual fortification? That is actually supposed to be a fortification line, which we haven't gotten to it, unfortunately. So the von Manstein's assault here is now starting to hit Kanzin. This is the problem. These are just regular infantry divisions. They are going to significantly struggle to hold this, I think. That is somewhat unfortunate. If we are falling back here from Brest-Litovsk, that means we have to prioritize fortification works in the central sector. What are the supply? We can give some ground. But we do need to hold Pinsk and Slonim in the north. So that's sort of the arc that we absolutely need to hold. So we might have to. This is unfortunate. We might have to fall back slightly here because that is also very exposed towards Brest-Litovsk. What's the terrain? This is plains. That's terrible. Marshes. Marshes are very bad for fighting in marshland, but I don't think we necessarily have a choice. So we'll begin. We'll prioritize construction of fallback fortifications there. We'll see if we can hold this here. Otherwise, we'll be falling back into the marshland. And we have some relatively weak positions here, actually, along the lines. I'm not too happy with this layout currently. The 8th Army specifically is having some issues here along the front lines, but we are going to try and stabilize it. How's the air situation going? Yeah, there's no way, even just we're still disrupting enemy bombers. But we are obviously significantly outnumbered at this point. But we are shooting down a fair few planes over Belarus, so that's advantageous. And I might actually have to bring these out of the air zone because they're going to have to fly over contested territory otherwise. Why do we have 609? Okay, I have one extra air wing, so we'll bring that up. Okay, that's better. All right, and these air wings do need to get reconstituted. All right, so falling back across the lines here, as was previously planned, and we'll send 2 divisions north and 2 additional divisions here, and to bring the defensive positions up to speed. All right, you stay there. The Jewel of Anti-Colonialism is finished. So with that, we should have the option of inviting India. We can invite the Indian Federation. So we shall do that. And that would be a significant boon. So with that, I think we have the foreign policy shenanigans done for now. And we also have to keep an eye on our war support, because the combat casualties are not helping, and enemy bombing is going to intensify. What can we do? What can we do with things here? We've got the Russian Auftragstaktik, the mission tactics. Basically, it gives. It's a German concept. Basically, it gives the field commanders, instead of giving them rigid orders to say you go here and then do that, it gives them a mission and tells them, this is your objective to achieve, you know best, go ahead and see how you can get it done. That would be one. That 5% division orc, that would be pretty good. This is going to cost me 40 political power, but it is giving me quite some benefits here. That's an additional planning skill for all generals and field marshals by the looks of it. Plus 15% experience gain and minus 25% experienced soldier losses. Yeah, that is going to cast, even though it costs 40 political power, that is going to be big. So we'll get that done next. And yeah, we're still organizing the deployments here in the north, just to make sure that we have. Okay, do not reinforce these lines. We are trying to actually build up a noticeable front line, and I think we can do this now that we have the positions. Yeah, I think all the positions are in good shape now. So I'll reorganize the front lines and see that I can get the divisions organized in a sensible manner. Okay, that's our front lines established, and now unfortunately we are taking lots of damage from aerial bombardment, but at the same time the AA is going to get to work as well, and we are going to start, AA is hopefully going to start shooting down some enemy aircraft, and we've still got some fighters on intercept missions, but all the losses are catastrophic here, so I think we're going to have to abandon that effort as well. And instead bring these south and just contest in a concentrated manner, contest enemy aircraft where possible, and we do need to rebuild these fighter wings, because there are just too many aircraft in the air on the German side. So now it's a question of, can we begin rebuilding the front lines here and give the divisions time to dig in. I do not necessarily, what do we got, 9th Army divisions here. I do not necessarily agree with all the movements, but even on rigid cohesions, and Casagrande has been wounded, that is unfortunate as well. Even with rigid cohesions, divisions are still doing what they want at times. There's not an awful lot you can do about it. And it looks like the Balkans war Serbia has been annexed, and with that the Balkans has fallen. Like I said, there's not an awful lot we could do about this, because we simply don't have the troops. We barely have the troops to hold our own lines, so there's simply not enough available to assist in the Balkans, and the United States of Greater Austria have taken control over most of it, and so has the Kingdom of Greece. Now, we cannot... we have a non-aggression pact with the Ottomans. That's why we can't invite the Greek anymore. That is irritating. That said... we do now have, hopefully, we do soon have the Indians on our side, and how does it look here? Is Egypt still not capitulated? They should capitulate any second now. Okay, we'll simply capture some more territory. So we get some divisions to move and organize just to take care of some more of the territory. But I think Egypt is going to capitulate soon, which means we can recall the special forces from there, and that gives us a bit more support for the somewhat thin front lines. We're still training some more divisions up here, but yeah, we don't have the equipment at this point, so we're very, very short on everything. Especially support equipment is becoming a major headache. So once we've got 15 factories on that, hopefully that is going to somewhat alleviate the losses that we're taking there. And we'll convert what we can for more rapid deployment to the front. But all in all, it's not much. All right, as long as we're shooting down some Germans over Belarus because we do have the numbers advantage here, but we can't contest them over the Baltic states, which means we probably are going to. We could need some. We could need some anti-air because we're going to start getting significant bombing runs happening across the Baltics by the German attempts of pushing us back. So this is something we might have to do as well. What's in the air zone? Yeah, we're going to have to schedule that, and that'll need to just to prevent massive damage to prevent significant damage to the infrastructure, and maybe take down a few bombers. It's not great. It's not my preferred way of going about it, but anything that harms the Luftwaffe is good in my eyes. Okay, so we are going to have to retreat back here, and we're going to give up this position here because this is not part of the lines that I'm wishing to hold. Although I do want one division to retreat north. And Egypt has capitulated, which means we have at least gotten a little bit of equipment, any support equipment in here. 37 items, great news. So do we want to hold any, do we want to take any territory in the Middle East under direct control? No, I don't think we do. Is there, unless there is anything that we really want to deal with. But I think we leave this to the Persians to sort that out. We don't necessarily want to have a permanent detachment. Syria maybe for access to the Mediterranean and bypassing the Constantinople the Straits. That might be something we could do, just to get an outpost in the Mediterranean for direct access and get a port for future operations. That might be viable. So let's see if we can take a bit of territory here, just under direct Russian control to hold the ports. But the rest, I'm happy to leave to the to the locals to sort that out. Okay, with that, the Persians have taken control of the African positions and most of the Middle East, and we've taken Tripoli and the naval base at Latakia as a Russian position in the Mediterranean. Plus the Egyptian Navy has been handed over to us. These ships have been transferred to Petrograd, and we have, but I think mostly it's relatively old ships. We have an old light cruiser, a few destroyers, and 3 submarines from the last war. But still, these ships will be integrated. These ships can be integrated into. They are in need of repairs. Can be integrated into the existing naval forces in the future. And well, with that, I think we can return the special forces. Yeah, we can get the 5th Army back into the European theater. And we'll redeploy these forces immediately to the front lines in the north, where I think they are going to work towards planning an assault against Riga, and to see if we can retake Riga. That would be, let me do that properly. If we can retake Riga, that would be their task. They do have a fair amount of artillery, so despite the fact that they're technically mountain forces, but these are probably our most experienced forces. So we'll send them here to attempt, that's 7 divisions in there, to attempt retaking Riga. And I'm still getting, despite the cohesion setting, I'm still getting the, without rigid cohesion, I'm still getting divisions moving around where I don't want them to. But hopefully that'll have an end soon. Now that we've actually mostly brought the front lines into a good state, and we're now starting to see the first fights between the anti-tank special guards divisions and the German panzer divisions, which are in that terrain much less effective. And especially given the fact that at this point we are starting to have relatively significant levels of fortifications, which means the next problematic area to technically would be. I do need to get a little bit of a better redistribution of divisions here. We do actually need one in the south as well. Let's see what that looks like. I'll probably send one north here. All right. So we're holding out in front near Brest-Litovsk for now against. But if the German armored forces are going to redeploy here, we'll be in massive trouble. So. Building up the fortifications across the front lines is going to be a primary concern of ours. And the Austrians are making some spirited attempts at taking Odessa. Then we have to keep a close eye on this to make sure that we might need to send an additional division to Odessa once the combat here stops. And again, things have unbalanced themselves slightly, but mostly it's in a decent state. So we have an MIO, Obukov, which we are using, and yeah, I know, I keep forgetting which one it is. It's the artillery, isn't it? Yes, so artillery, anti-tank and anti-air. And here, yes, we can convert a few things, which is going to speed up proceedings quite significantly. We have, what do we have so far? We've got the rapid upscaling, which is the efficiency gain. We've got the production efficiency cap. We can get resources or conversion speed. Alternatively, what do we have? What else do we have here? This is for the towed anti-air improvements. This would be. Is there anything actually for? Oh, here it's for the anti-tank. So, yeah, we might actually get an improvement for the AT guns in as well. So that's 10% piercing, 5% hard attack, or reliability soft attack and defense. No, I don't have a wide distribution, and that improves the army experience gain as well. I do like the hard attack and piercing because we have relatively specialized ones. So, and we are going to upgrade the 57mm anti-tank guns that we're currently building, which means we now have to get the production switched out, I believe. Yes. So that's at, how much does that actually cost me? 70.57. and that is going down to, no, that stays actually. So these upgrades don't cost anything. But yeah, we're starting to very slowly, because we only have one factory, very slowly bring in larger caliber anti-tank guns. So that is going to help with the specialized anti-tank divisions in the defense. And meanwhile, the tanks are falling back. I might actually, this should hold relatively well by now. I'm gonna bring the tanks further south. Where do we have the supply positions? Here. I'm gonna bring the tanks actually, and I would like to have all of them. I will bring the tanks further south to be ready for counterattacks here if necessary. So we're gonna get them deployed. Yeah, I just don't like to deploy them in marshes. That's less than ideal. But yeah, we'll deploy them here for now. So we'll bring them south, and that means we don't need them here. They're mostly there for refits, but it at least gives me a bit of a. I'm reasonably certain that the northern defensive lines are going to hold at this point, but it gives me a bit of additional firepower in the area, should we need it. So we will. These positions are coming under furious attack now, and obviously the aerial bombardment is going to become a problem very quickly. If they bring in sufficient numbers of bombers, that is going to become a problem. So for now, we're just minimizing our losses in the air, trying to deal with the enemy fighters over Belarus, rather than challenging the main battle lines in the north. And yeah, we are probably going to need more troops, unfortunately. We have some very, very understrength divisions here, but they don't have any anti-tank guns, so they're not going to be of use to anybody if we deploy them early towards the lines here. So we'll give up this position here still, and then I think we have the terrain that we need. What's the fortification level at Kaunas itself? Yeah, Kaunas needs to complete the fortifications once the battles actually stop here, and we are going to need more troops in Kaunas. Yeah, am I sending more divisions over? Yes, I am. I'm not sure how many, but Kaunas needs to hold. That is quite critical. So we are going to need additional infantry over in Kaunas to make sure that that position holds. We've got 3 AT divisions here, but the rest of the infantry is struggling to do anything. Indian Federation has joined the Moscow Accord, and that is a major benefit. So we are sending, we'll send 2 additional divisions over to Kaunas. Okay, that's actually we now have probably, yeah, we're probably enough now. So let's leave that as is. Okay, because we've got more divisions still organizing themselves along the front lines here. And I would like these to actually remain where they are while we are retreating elsewhere, and you stay behind. And stop trying to reinforce the lines, stay where you are. Okay, so I'm going to have to temporarily give these 4 divisions a fallback line, and then get them unassigned. I'm sure there's a better way, but that prevents them from moving around needlessly. So we'll hold position here. We'll reinforce Kaunas. The Indians have joined, so that should allow us to bring, and yeah, we definitely need some troops here. That should allow us to bring, stay where you are. That should allow us to bring additional, to bring additional forces to the front line. We just have to stop them from trying to further assault us here. And bring additional troops over, because now we can properly build the front lines. All right. That has been a difficult retreat, but we now have the fortification lines we now have the fortified lines organized, and now we can begin. Planning the offensives. We're still redistributing a few infantry divisions here and there, but hopefully the forts will hold. So far, we're holding near Brest-Litovsk, but it is getting difficult, and we are holding reasonably well along the rest of the lines here. So I think we may have at this March. So it is soon going to become a matter of. It is going to soon become a matter of the general winter no longer joining us here. Yeah, we're going to have to see if we can. I think I might have to build some. I might have to build some manual fallback lines just to make sure that divisions stay where they are and where I need them. But I think we've stopped the German advance in more defensible territory. We'll still be building up the fortifications a little more. My biggest concern at this point is the German Air Force, simply because if they start bringing in additional bombers, then things are going to get really nasty. So for now, we're shooting down aircraft over Belarus because that's the theater where we can actually challenge them and trade favorably, whereas the Baltic states is not so much the case. And we are defending along the lines everywhere. We're starting to look better on infantry equipment because we've taken a fair amount of foreign equipment. Support equipment is still a massive problem that needs to be resolved. Anti-air is starting to become an issue as well. And the fighter craft, the light tanks too, we need to replenish. So I think 1941 is going to be a year of defensive posturing. And I am almost, I think the last thing I'm going to do, we do have the, I think I'm going to switch to static warfare because that is, we're going to be on the defensive for a while to come, and that is going to help with any, we're doing this. It costs 50 army XP, which I would rather not spend. But we're going into static warfare, which is going to improve the maximum. It's going to improve the maximum entrenchment, and I still have enough to get the advanced fire bases, which is give us 10 orc on all infantry. That is going to help significantly as well. So let's unlock that, and that means the Guards infantry has now got an org of 52, so that does help with better organization, helps with holding out in the field. And the very last, okay, we'll do that next time. That can wait. We'll look at the MIO next time. But yeah, I think 1941 is going to become a year of defense, where we're going to be holding positions and. Are going to defend against the significant developments on the ground. Meanwhile, Germany is making slow advances into Italy, but they have managed to cross the river and they have taken Parma. So I think Italy is going to fall as well, and they are advancing into Spain. Britain still standing. And we are still sinking. Convoys quite noticeably in quite noticeable numbers. So they still haven't managed to sort out the defense in the Atlantic. Our submarines are still effective, but we are now having a war in Africa to fight, and the Persians are sending expeditionary forces, 9 divisions. I'm going to accept that because these divisions are going to be useful in the defense of the front line, and these Persian divisions are going to be used to reinforce the northern lines here, and just to make sure that we have sufficient infantry everywhere, just to hold these lines. So these Persian divisions are going to come into, into the cold of the Northern European theater to assist with holding back the assaults by German armored forces. Whatever they can contribute will be much welcome, and with that, we'll end the episode for today. Still, phase 3 of Operation Yekaterina is something that is in the works, but the rapid collapse of the Third International means that we will have to find ways. We're going to be on the defense for a while, and we're going to have to find ways to overcome the German superiority in the air if we want to run any kind of offensive operations, and see where we can find opportunities potentially in the future once the light tank divisions have been reconstituted. There is an opportunity potentially here, although we are holding the lines. There might be an opportunity to break out from Kaunas and see if we can run counterattacks that would cut off the northern lines here and allow us to to retake Riga. We're bringing in the troops from foreign deployments, and we will be going back on the offensive eventually in 1941, but mostly along the lines we'll be holding positions against the Reichspakt.